So some people, when they go in, they can feel tingling, but more than anything, it's just such a relaxed and beautiful environment. And so the reason for the 2 hours is it usually takes about some people, it'll take a little bit of time for them just to get acclimated. Not that it's going to feel awkward, it's just people are just in amazement, like, wow, this is so relaxing. What is this? So, it's that monkey mind that we start trying to figure out what is going on here. But at the end of the day, finally, the body's like, okay, now you're relaxed. So now I can start working on you. And so it's not the system that's healing you, it's your body that's healing you. It's just giving you that energy that you need to do that. So then at that point, the body's going to start looking at all of your chakras, all your organs. It's just going to kind of start scanning, and it's going to start doing what it needs to do at that point. So most people fall asleep. Some people will, meditate and just kind of hang out and just be relaxed. It's really incredible. Everybody has different experiences, and the body, it doesn't just heal physically; it heals emotionally. We may have situations where a lot of us have, blocks that need to be unblocked. So from past traumas, whatever that may be. So we're healing, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of that together.
Hey, what's up, good people? It's Eric Taylor, Big E Astrology, with another amazing episode of my Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast. This is episode 265. Can you imagine? And today I have such an amazing guest. She is the owner of Vitality Energy Healing. Oh, and you're going to find out what that's all about. I introduced you today, and of course, she's an amazing mother and so much more, and she's got a journey and spiritual story that you need to hear. Miss Sonia Perry, welcome to the show. How are you today, my friend?
Oh my gosh, Eric, I'm doing great. It's so great to see you. Thank you for having me. I'm really grateful for that.
Well, it is my honor and my pleasure. And I just have to laugh because we met, I guess it was probably like over a year ago at an event for business owners and stuff. And then we finally reconnected through my amazing wife. And then it was just like boom, boom, boom. And then you showed up on my podcast live one night in the chat, and I was like, yes. And I was like, I just emailed Sonia, and so there are no accidents. This was in the making for a while, and I'm just so glad. So what is Vitality Energy Healing?
Well, Vitality Energy Healing, that's a great question. It is a place where people can come to heal utilizing this new technology by Dr. Sandra Michael called the Energy Enhancement System.
Okay.
And yes, it's very incredible. We have lots of individuals, coming from a more holistic modality, which I know there's several out there. But the greatest part about this technology is that it's creating this environment that's allowing our bodies to heal. So, as we all know, our bodies are very powerful. And so you get to come in, and the way a session works is you get to come in and take a nap. It's always a minimum of 2 hours, and you take a nap, and energetically our bodies are being recharged at the cellular level.
Mm. So why the duration? Does it need 2 hours to go through all the cells and all of that?
It really, the reason we do the 2 hours, and it's really something that Dr. Sandra Rose Michaels always encourages, is it takes the body the very first time to just get acclimated, because you walk into this space, and in this space you have all these screens with all these different lights, and they're completely aligned. They are completely late. They were laser aligned. So when you walk in, it's this whole toroidal field of scalar waves and biophotonic light that are in there. So some people, when they go in, they can feel tingling, but more than anything, it's just such a relaxed and beautiful environment. And so the reason for the 2 hours is it usually takes about some people, it'll take a little bit of time for them just to get acclimated. Not that it's going to feel awkward, it's just people are just in amazement, like, wow, this is so relaxing. What is this? So, it's that monkey mind that we start trying to figure out what is going on here. But at the end of the day, finally, the body's like, okay, now you're relaxed. So now I can start working on you. And so it's not the system that's healing you, it's your body that's healing you. It's just giving you that energy that you need to do that. So then at that point, the body's going to start looking at all of your chakras, all your organs. It's just going to kind of start scanning and it's going to start doing what it needs to do at that point. So most people fall asleep. Some people will, meditate and just kind of hang out and just be relaxed. It's really incredible. Everybody has different experiences, and the body, it doesn't just heal physically; it heals emotionally. We may have situations where a lot of us have, blocks that need to be unblocked. So from past traumas, whatever that may be. So we're healing, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of that together.
I love that. And truth be told, and we'll have to show a little B-roll video because my amazing wife and I got to experience this yesterday, you guys. OMG, Sonia. So when you talked about like falling asleep, so I definitely went in with a positive mindset and intentions for health, wealth, abundance, healing. Um, and I just have to share with my audience, right? And I've told them before. Well, let me stop with this. Number one, Miss Sonia is a Virgo, just like me. She is a Cancer moon in the sixth house, Virgo sun in the eighth house, and Aquarius rising. So when I found out that you were a Virgo, I was just like, oh my God. And then this amazing healing, I was like, yeah, that's a very Virgo eighth house thing to do. But I have Uranus and Libra in the 12th house, and sleeping is not easy for me. It's like a real event, and I need to unplug and do this and do that. And yesterday, Sonia, I zonked out. My wife said I was snoring. And like you said, I felt the tingling. But the only way I can describe it for the audience is that not only did I've had multiple foot surgeries. When I walked out, my feet felt so strong and felt really good, and they still do today. But what's also amazing is that breathing in there was so easy and clear. And then the air felt, I don't know how other words to say, but it felt like yummy to breathe. Have you ever heard anyone say that to you? And what is that the scalar machine and the technology does to create that experience that even for me and maybe others have shared with you?
Yeah, you know what? That is just such a technical field. It's all physics and all of this. Dr. Sandra Rose Michaels talks about how it's a fifth dimensional technology. And so when you're creating that type of environment, that's exactly it. It is clean. We've been exposed to so many toxins in our outside world that we don't even know what clean is anymore, meaning it just even at the cellular level, right? So when you
Yeah.
have this energy, these scalar waves that are being created, it's just creating that entire whole environment where the body is just, it feels incredible because it feels like, okay, now I can do what I always wanted to do because our bodies always want to get back to their original blueprint. That's what they innately always want to do, but unfortunately, we're in fight or flight in our world because it's just trying to keep us alive. You come in here and it's like, "Oh my gosh, okay, great. Now what can I start working on?" So yeah, so most people will have incredible experiences, and I just love hearing everybody's stories because it's really just remarkable.
Well, you said something yesterday, and I want you to explain this to the audience because the minute we walked into your office, I felt good energy. And like, not just like, oh, like woohoo spirit. Oh, like the energy in here is so positive and good. No, no. I felt like healing good energy. How does that happen? And how far out does this scalar technology radiate? And explain a little bit more the nuance. You said they had to actually use lasers and they put in like explain the machinery a little bit. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, it's really incredible, unless you come in and see it. So it looks like all these computer screens with these lights that are just, going in. It's a Fibonacci sequencing that they're going through, and the colors of the lights really resemble all the chakras. I don't know if you noticed that yesterday,
Yeah,
but
I
it's all
did.
the colors, in the chakras representing all of them, and so they're just kind of all going across, and what they're doing, they call these they're generating bioactive energy fields that they call scalar waves. So it's a fifth
Mm.
dimensional technology, and it's used for cell rejuvenation.
Right.
It really wants to start at the cellular level, so it's improving your immune function, relief of pain, body detoxification, elevated mood. It goes on and on. So it works again because the body wants to get back to its original blueprint. It wants to get us back to that space where everything is in alignment again. So it's trying to get us in alignment at all levels. And so it's really incredible. So that's what those lights are. So when they came in, so when I had my system installed, I had to have installers, and they literally set up these laser lights to make sure that it was completely in alignment, because you don't want to have a wave, a wobble in your field that's in there,
Right.
that's being created. It needs to be completely 100% straight. So when they told me that any bump or disturbance to these screens would, affect that, I was like, okay, can you bolt them in? Because I was like, I don't want anything to occur with those. And so I did. I had them bolted in.
Wow.
But yes, it's incredible. The technology is just absolutely amazing. And and it's not even just, I have people of all ages, whether you're seniors, whether you're toddlers. We even have pets that come in with ailments, and
Oh,
pets just
wow.
absolutely love it because they don't question. See, us as humans, we question everything and we go in our monkey mind, right? But pets don't. They just go in and they just are. They just, you know,
How
just
did the young toddlers respond?
you know, they've done great. I've had moms that come in and parents with their kids, and they just love the energy. Depending on what time of day, if it's during their nap time, they sleep like babies. They're completely out. If it's during their, more energetic times, they're just happy. And so I just have to find a time for them to be on their own, because typically when I have clients in there, I have a room. It's 1,000 square feet, and so I have 10 reclining chairs and 6 memory foam beds. So typically, the room is always kept very quiet. I have frequency music in there. I have salt lamps. I have essential
Beautiful.
oils,
Yep.
trickling water features. Everything to make you feel so comfortable. So obviously, I can't bring in like a 2 or 3 year old toddler when someone's sleeping. So I usually try and find times to have them come in, also during that time. But yes, it's for everyone. It's how our environment should be in our world today. In a perfect world, our environment would mimic this environment.
And again, how far out can this radiate?
Oh,
Because
so the scalar wave technology that radiates out 2.2 miles. So we're helping to heal the world. And Unified Healing is who I am part of. That's what it is. It's helping heal the world. And so that emanates out 2.2 miles. However, the biophotonic light, that cannot permeate walls. So that stays in the room, in the space. But the energy,
okay.
the scalar energy does go out 2.2 miles.
So then you're bringing benefits to the other businesses and patrons and clients, even in the offices that are close to you, right?
Absolutely. Even Mother Earth. I mean, everything surrounding, right? So we're we're trying to help heal the world. We're trying to make it a better place, for all of us as we move forward in this lifetime.
Oh, I thought you were gonna break into the Michael Jackson song. Heal the world. But you know what? That's so perfect for an Aquarius rising and Virgo sun in eighth house. So, okay, let me explain you guys some of her astrology. Um, and it's just so great to see this, right? Because you having Uranus and Pluto in Virgo in eighth house, it really does speak to the work that you're doing now in Aquarius rising, and you're going to have Pluto on your ascendant for the next 20 years, just starting very soon, November 19th. So, like, this is your time, Sonia. Like, it is so amazing. But with those placements, in another life, in another world, you could be like a doula, a deaf doula, a midwife. Have you, as a young girl growing up, did you ever see any spirits, ghosts, aliens, anything like that? Or speak to people that had passed on from the other side?
That's really funny that you say that. When I was younger, I was a big sleepwalker. And I would to the point where my parents one time I was found outside in my car, in my parents' car,
Oh,
out
that's
in the
great.
backyard playing with the dog. So they were a little concerned. They started to lock my door. But also I do recall where I had, you know, I don't know if I was walking in my sleep, whether I was awake or not, but I would see like an image. It wasn't, it was really odd. It was the image of like, almost like a bow tie and cufflinks and,
Hmm.
and a hat, like nothing. And it was at one time I saw that, that I recall, that I remember. Um, and I used to have really vivid dreams of different, things that were constant and didn't really understand what they were, but I think I do now. So now that I've awakened to this new world that's occurred, I believe it's just part of maybe one of my past lives. Maybe, one of them being in Atlantis, seeing this huge wall of water coming at me as I'm in this glass, building. It was just really incredible. I had that forever since I was younger. So yes, I did have some of that.
Wow. So now, I mean, I want to, get into something kind of deep because you shared some stuff with me. Sonia is an amazing mother. You have three daughters, correct?
I do.
Right. And you kind of like how I had my NDE, I think what you experienced, and I want to talk about kind of like your spiritual awakening and kind of like leaving the matrix, but you were married and you kind of had a spiritual transformative experience with the passing of your husband. Can you kind of share that story? I take your time with it because it's beautiful and amazing, and I'm so sorry for your loss, but I think it's kind
Thank you.
of led you to Miss Sonia Perry today. Is that a fair assessment?
100%. I am
So
definitely a
how did you
complete.
guys meet? When did you get married? And then take us to like what, his
I will.
passing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, my husband and I met, oh gosh, in 19, let's see, we were married in 90. I should know these off the top of my head.
That's all right.
Um, I want to say probably in 94, we met and we started dating and we were married in 97. So and we knew right off the bat we were just meant for each other. And
What sign was he?
he was a Cancer.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, if he was a Cancer and your moon's in Cancer, he probably had some Gemini placements, and you have Jupiter in Gemini, which represents the husband.
Ah, yeah, most likely. Yes. So yeah, so we had this really great relationship. We really, if for the first time, I felt like I had met my person. Who I
Mm.
100% could trust, and for me, that was the most important thing. But we just had a really great dynamic relationship, and so I was very blessed to finally, find that person that was for me. And so yes, we were married, and we had three beautiful daughters. Today, my oldest is 25, my youngest is 23, or my middle is 23, and my youngest just turned 20. So,
Wow.
so we've had an amazing life, and the way we raised our children is that we were a family unit all the time. So
Yes.
everything we did together. I remember when my oldest was first born, I had friends that were like, "Oh, don't you want to get away, get out?" And I really didn't, and my husband didn't. But finally, after a year, my parents are like, "Why don't you guys take the weekend?" We went up to Sedona, just to kind of get away. And it was really funny because while we were there, it was really nice to be together alone. But both of us were like, I wonder how Jordan is. I wonder what's going. And so at that point, we knew that our kids were just going to come with us wherever we went. And that was where we were happy. So
Sounds
we
like
are,
us.
yeah, literally. So our kids grew, they were with us all the time. So we were really tight knit. We did a lot of, all of our vacations were, camping. My husband was really big into off road motorsports type stuff. So the
Oh,
girls, we grew around that, being at the beach, so that was our family time. That's what we did. So yes, it was really, really an incredible life. So I'm so grateful to have had all the time that I did have with him. But unfortunately, come 2020, I think this is a time for a lot of people that a lot of changes occurred.
oh yeah.
But during this time, I was really I was your, college graduate who worked in the corporate world, and I, climbing that corporate ladder, doing everything that we were told to do, right? And so that was who I was. And then my husband, on the other hand, was completely opposite of that. He was like against that whole corporate world. He wanted it, he had his own business.
Ah,
He could never work for any, he just, so we were very different, but we aligned ourselves that way. So we figured we didn't want to put all our eggs in one basket. So I was always a corporate girl. He was the business owner. So, he had RV and boat store, that he ran. That's what he did. And so that's why we did so much camping and all of that, you
oh,
know,
wow.
boating and stuff. So
That connects to that Cancer energy. That's awesome.
yes, yes. So it was always outdoor sports, whether we were out on the water or we were out in the desert or out in the mountains. I mean, we were just always out. And so yeah, so that's how our lives were. And our children were very, they were all growing up, so we were busy with so we were really just focused on them and their sports and their activities and, just all of that. And then come 2020, everything shuts down, right? Everybody now is being sent home.
Yeah,
Every our world literally changed at that time. And so at that time our kids were coming home because schools were being shut down as well. So Jordan, my oldest, was in college, and my middle daughter was a freshman in college as well, and then my youngest was a junior in high school. And
wow.
so what happened is my husband, you know, so go back a little bit. I've always been holistic in my healing, and I've always been. So we have a naturopathic physician. My great grandmother was a natural healer in New Mexico, and she healed with
Ah,
herbs and tinctures, in her community. So it's something I never got to know her, but I heard all the stories about her. And
yeah,
so yeah, so we were always holistic in our healing and everything that we did. And as a mom, I chose, and back then, I can say this now, I think that, but I chose not to give my children childhood vaccinations.
right. And
Just because
that's your right. Yeah,
I had done a lot of research, things had happened and occurred, and it resonated with me. I know at the time it was against the grain, so really just didn't talk about it, but my children are very healthy, and so when everything occurred that happened with this new, illness that hit the world, right?
yeah,
It was something different again. So my husband, what ended up happening is, he ended up getting a really, bad UTI is what we believe it was,
mm,
and so our naturopathic physician, he had a hard time breathing, so he's like, "Bring him in right away." We took him in to go see him, and, he just, tested him to make sure he didn't have, what the big thing that was going on. Because I'm
right.
not really sure what we can say, but,
Yeah, we
he
could
was
say with yeah, COVID.
yeah,
Yeah,
and he was negative. He did not have that, and we did not, you know, take that vaccination because we just didn't vaccinate at all. I mean, that was our bag. That's how
right.
we ran our life. And so, he's like, "Well, we need to get him into the hospital, because I think he could be going into sepsis, so we wanna make sure we get him on strong antibiotics, and then I'll work with the attending physician to help, to communicate what we need to do for him." And we've done that in the past before, so, it wasn't like we were surprised, but anyway, he ended up going in, and at the time, I couldn't stay with him. The hospital wouldn't allow me to stay there. I
Right.
couldn't even stay
This
in the
was in 2020,
this
and
was
what
in 20
you said,
Mhm.
September?
Yes, September of 2020.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately, they wouldn't allow us to stay there. So I'm thinking, it's gonna be an in and out. It was my youngest daughter's 16th birthday, so he was gonna take her to get her license that day. So, a little switch in plans. I'm like, "I'll take her, honey. We'll come back and pick you up this afternoon." And so that was, how the day started. Well, as the day went on, no one's getting back to me from the hospital. I'm calling. They're like, "We're sorry. We're just really busy. There's so many COVID patients coming in, so on and so forth." And so it wasn't until later, that I finally start getting text messages from my husband, and he's sending me all these pictures that he's or his son. I'm like, "What is going
Oh,
on?" And
wait,
I realize he's
hold on, wait, hold on. Let's go back for a second, because you paused out for a second. So, text, pick it up from you were getting all these text messages.
Oh, so I received these text messages from my husband, and he was sending me pictures. And so I'm like, "Oh my gosh, he has his phone." It didn't dawn on me to try his phone because I assumed he didn't have it on him, but he did. So I called him and I'm like, "Honey, what is going on?" I go, "I don't understand." And he was
What
having a
were the
hard.
pictures of?
It was of him hooked up to all these machines, like all types of machines. It looked like he was on oxygen. So he was on oxygen, he's all these machines. And I called him and he's having a hard time breathing. He's like, "What's going on?" He's like, My organs are shutting down." And I said, "What?" I go, "That doesn't make sense." My husband's 51 years old. He's never had, any type other than high blood pressure, which in today's world, pretty much everybody has high blood pressure. But that was the one thing that he did have. But other than that, he didn't have any type of other conditions.
Right.
And so I'm like, "That doesn't make sense." He's like, "They're trying to save my life." And I said, "What?" So I'm, of course, frantic because I'm like, how can this be happening? So I'm like, I am,
Was his oxygen low before you went in?
yes.
How lo do you know where it was at or no?
You know what? I don't recall
Okay.
because Dr. Hansen had taken it and he said his oxygen level is low, so we should get him
Right.
in. That's why we made the choice to do that.
Exactly, and that's smart, yeah.
And of course, at the time, I feel like it was kind of all a blur. I
No, I
couldn't, like,
totally
we were
get it,
just,
yeah.
like, going, and, so, yes, so when we did that, so what I did automatically is I sent all those pictures to our naturopath physician, and he called me, he's like, "Sonia," he goes, "I've been trying to call the hospital to contact them, they won't get in touch. They won't get back to me." He goes, "I need to speak to the doctor who's attending to him because I need to get these different, holistic things into his IV bag." He goes, "It's not invasive, but I know it's what he needs and what he needs to have." And he says, "So as soon as you talk to them, please direct them to me, instantly. I'll have my phone on me. It doesn't matter if I have patients. I need to speak with them." So I said, "Of course." And so, so all of a sudden, I finally get a call from the doctor, and she tells me that they're going to put him in ICU because he for some reason his um his heart is not pumping the blood that they needed to pump. And she's thinking, "Does he have a heart condition?" I said, "No." I go, "He's never had a heart condition." I go, she goes, "Well," I go, "I really would prefer that you talk to our physician, to our family doctor, because he has all of his history and you guys can talk to each other better than I can even speak with you." And she did not want to speak with him. She's like, "Well, we're going to put him in ICU where we can have a closer look on, of him, and
Monitor him, yeah.
yeah, the more one-on-one, and then we'll just see how he does through the night, and then based on that, we'll go from there." So I wasn't clear as to why she didn't want to speak to him because you would think, of
Right.
course, let me talk to him, let me get a little bit. But it was a complete opposite. She did not want to speak. That was really discouraging, for me.
Wait, I lost you for a second. So you said that you were surprised and didn't know why she didn't wanna
Speak
speak with.
with
Right.
our family doctor.
And
Yes.
so let me try to capture this because, usually when you oxygen gets to 88%, they want you to go to the hospital. Now, when he was there and got hooked up to the machines, were they giving him any medication that maybe created or started the heart to like did they ever give him the antibiotics for the UTI? Because that's what you need immediately for UTI, or
Right.
never had it.
Yes. Yes, and I did ask that, and so, yes, they put him because we told him this is what he has, so they did have him on antibiotics. So that was the one thing they had, that he was getting. So he was getting that.
Okay, so
Um,
then he spends the night in ICU, and then what happened?
and then I get a call, so I end up getting a call at about 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock the next morning telling me, that I need to come down to the hospital right away because he's in grave condition. And I said, "I don't understand," Um, first of all, they wouldn't even let me come into the hospital, so I was kind of shocked that they wanted me there. I go, "I don't understand." They're like, We need you to get here right away." And so I'm a little frantic. I'm like, I don't, so I just get up and I get in my car and I drive straight over. and they let me in. There was confusion about me coming in, but they finally get me in. And as soon as I walk into his room where he's at, he is on a ventilator.
Oh my gosh.
So I didn't get to talk to him. I asked the nurse, I'm like,
Was he
why?
awake? Was he awake though?
No, no, he was I there was no he was asleep. When I walked in, he was on a ventilator, and he didn't look good. He looked gray, he was sweaty, he didn't look good, and I asked the nurse, I go, "What is going on?" I go, "Why is he on a ventilator?" And I was really concerned about that because there were so many stories going around about
Yeah.
people being placed on ventilators, and she said, "Well, he was uncomfortable." And I looked at her, I'm like, "Why would you put someone on a ventilator because they're uncomfortable?" She's like, "Well, the doctors will be in shortly, and you can ask them whatever questions you have." So I'm at this point, I'm just like
Oh,
overwhelmed, like, "Oh my gosh, like what is going on?" And so finally I have a kidney specialist that walks in, and he starts talking to me about, "Oh, well, we really think it's his kidneys, and if we can, do this and that." They're telling me all this stuff, and at this time I feel like I'm just in this dream. So then suddenly a heart specialist shows up, and he's telling me he thinks there's a blockage in his heart, and if they can get into his heart, they're going to put this appella in it to open it up to get blood, pumping blood to his organs. And then suddenly the doctor in charge walks in, and she's like, "Oh, okay, Sonia, well, we need to run this test, this." And I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute, hold on. I don't want to do anything until you speak to our family doctor. I need you to speak to him because you guys can communicate better than I can with you. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this is happening." And she, this was really amazing. She kind of slammed her hand down, and and very loudly, and she said, "Ma'am, if you don't let me do my job, your husband is going to die." And I was just overwhelmed. Of course, I broke out in tears because I was just so overwhelmed, so the other 2 doctors also were kind of stunned, and suddenly she says, "Okay," she goes, "Sonia," she goes, we're going to, take Todd in and run him, through dialysis." And I'm thinking to myself, "Well, why haven't you already done that? Like, why are you waiting for me to be here?" She goes, "Leave your doctor's number there and I will call him." So they sent me out of the room. And at that point, the heart specialist came to me and he said, "Sonia, has your husband ever had any history of this?" And I said, "Of heart disease?" I said, "No." I go, "Never." He goes, "This doesn't make sense. He's 51 years old. None of this makes sense. This shouldn't be happening." And then suddenly I get a call from my doctor, our naturopath physician, and he said he did get a call, from the attending doctor, and
okay.
he explained to her, "This is what I would like you to do." And it really was just to add a few things to his bag, to his IV bag, like literally like vitamin C and, good bigger doses than they would normally do, and some other things. And she said that she would not do any of the things he had requested, that she was more than capable of handling the situation. And so at that time, my naturopath physician told me, "Sonia, we just have to pray."
Oh
And
my goodness. Okay, so what people don't understand, the arrogance, and this hits home for me because of my personal experience and being in the hospital during COVID and really falling into a coma. And what you guys don't understand, and obviously, we're here on YouTube, so we can't get so deep into stuff, is that there was a lot of deception and lies going on during this time, and things are being revealed and coming out more and more each day. But there's a lot of people in the medical profession who have left because of, you know, events like this and like mine and stuff like that, and people and patients being denied things over the last 4 years that they should have gotten. So this happens. She refuses. The naturopath tells you to pray. And then what happens?
um, I'm in shock at this point. I'm just like, how is this happening? Like, I can't believe this is happening. So they let me back into the room. And when I come back in, he looks better. Like his skin, he's no longer sweating. His skin is pink and he looks better. And I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good. He's looking better. They finally started, and the dialysis definitely helped because he wasn't getting the blood he needed. So I'm feeling optimistic because he looks better, and I'm feeling
Yeah.
optimistic. So they're like, okay, well, we need to run these tests to determine whether there's a blockage in his heart or there's a blockage in his lungs, because we believe that there is, and if there is, we have a procedure in place. And if it's not, then we've already spoken with a higher triage hospital that will take him in, where they can put him on an artificial heart externally while his heart heals. So we have a plan. And I said, okay. I go, then let's move forward. So I said, I want to know as soon as you find out the results, what the results are. So they're like, okay, well, you have to leave now. They wouldn't let me stay there. So I had to leave. So I go home and I'm waiting. So about 2 or 3 hours later, I get a call that the results came back, and it was negative on blockage to his heart, negative blockage to his lungs. The only positive test that he did have is that he had a UTI. And so when she called me, I said, okay. I said, well, you said that we have the option of taking him to the hospital if this came out, not in our favor. And she says, well, that's no longer an option. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, because he has an infection. Having an infection and putting an external heart would not be a good idea, because it can lend to more bacteria or whatnot forming.
Right.
And I
Could
said,
create more infection. Yeah.
wait a minute. I go, you knew he had a UTI. He has been on an antibiotic since he came in. I go, this doesn't make sense. I go, how was it an option before and it's not now? That doesn't make sense. And she just said, ma'am, I'm sorry. You just have to prepare for the worst.
What?
No, it literally was
Ugh.
just, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And so it was in September. So we had just dropped off my oldest daughter in San Diego, because that's where she was in school. We had just dropped off my other daughter at ASU, because that's where she was at school. And my youngest was a junior in high school. And I'm just sitting here like, oh my God, what is going on? And it was just horrific. And
the girls are probably distraught, like going crazy.
well, they are. They don't, because I'm thinking he's going in, he's getting an IV, he's going to come. It's, we're thinking nothing, right? So I end up getting, the call just a few hours later that he's not making it, and that they will allow me to come down there with my girls, to say goodbye. And
So basically his organs were failing, the heart
yeah.
and lung.
Yeah, so that's what they said. They said that he, I think his death certificate said that he had ischemic heart failure, multi-organ failure, and then complicated UTI is what it said.
Now, UTIs are very tough. And my mother had one, and it put her in a wheelchair in 2013. And the gentleman who brought her home, the transport guy, he said, you're very fortunate and blessed. And I said, why? He goes, my mother had a UTI. And he said, and it killed her. And I was like, wow. I was like, I had no idea that UTIs could do that. And he goes, yeah. But to me, this is really rapid. And when you are getting the right antibiotics, UTI should not be deadly.
Yeah, and they weren't even acknowledging that. They kept saying it was his heart, and it was his heart. Like, they weren't even talking about the UTI.
Now, was there anything else that he was given that you're aware of?
Everything happened so fast. Like, literally, I'm talking a matter of hours.
Yeah. It was like a 2-day period, right?
Yeah, it was. It happened so fast. And yeah, I know that I did request all of the medical records. I did eventually perform an autopsy, because I was just so confused with what had just transpired and what had just happened. And So I I probably need to go back. I do now have someone that is in the medical field that's a very good friend of mine that I'm gonna have her look closer at that because I was never looking specifically at that. I think I was just a little bit just trying to deal with life.
You were in survival mode, yeah, and I mean,
Oh,
gosh,
it wasn't
God bless you.
it wasn't like the I was just, at this point, I was just trying to be
So
there for my children.
you and the girls go to see him,
Yes.
right? They come to town and they go to so then
Well, actually, no, Jordan didn't. Only Carly and Alex could be there, my 2 youngest. We had
okay.
to put Jordan on FaceTime.
And
We
was
did
he able to communicate at all or no?
no, no, not we from the moment that they brought me to see him, I never knew that when I took him in, that would be the last time.
Hmm, I'm so sorry. So once he got on the vent, that was pretty much did he die that same night
Yeah,
when they told you?
yeah, so we went in, yes, because they said as soon as he was, gone from there. Oh, excuse me. Um,
No,
but
it's okay. I'm so
but
sorry.
yeah, so it was really, really pretty tragic.
So how did this change you, Sonia? The mother, the grieving wife, um, and how did it lead you to Sonia today?
So it was really incredible. So this is the reason why I can tell this story today, which for the first couple years, or even the first year, I just couldn't really speak at all. Like I really was just trying to survive and be there for my girls and be there for my mother because my mother had dementia. She lived with us too. So it was just a lot happening all at one time. And so all I did, I was big in faith. I've always been huge in my faith. And I was just praying to God and just asking him to please just help me understand. I know that this is his will, but just please help me understand. Just never
Yeah.
thought that this would be what my life was going to be like. And so I would pray and pray and pray, and suddenly I started getting messages from my husband through family members. He would come to them and he would tell them, and the first message was to my sister, and she didn't approach me about it right away because she was concerned that I wasn't ready for it.
Right,
And
right.
she goes, Sonia, she goes, I just need you to know, I Todd's with you. He's here at the house. I had a dream and I know he has a message for you. He says he's out in the backyard. He's with you all the time. He's not leaving. And when she said that to me, I said that's so funny because all these things have been happening at home where, my husband always was in the front courtyard with listening to his music out there and one day we're in the house and all of a sudden the music starts playing and it's his music playing and I'm
Oh,
looking at
wow.
my daughter and I go, "Carly, did you guys somebody turn on the music outside?" And they're like, no, mom, we've been in our rooms." And I'm like,
Oh
"Okay."
my
So
goodness.
little things start and I knew in my
You just gave
heart,
me chills all over, like, oh my
like,
gosh.
I knew in my heart that it was my husband and my daughter
Yeah.
both and I were both and I'm like, "Oh my god, your dad is here." So when my sister came and told me this, it was just kind of that confirmation of what I was already feeling. He wants you to know that he hasn't left any of you. He's with all of you all the time. But he said that you need to do your research because you're going to have to make a big decision. And I said, okay. I go, can he be a little more specific? Because I have, like, a lot of decisions to make
Decisions
right
to
now,
make, oh
right?
my
I mean, my whole life has changed, and she's like I asked him, I told Todd, I go, "Todd, Sonia has so much she's having to deal with right now. Can you, like, tell me what?" He's like, just tell her she needs to do her research because she's gonna have to make a big decision." And so, of
wait, wait,
course
so was your sister, like, open to, did she
yes,
even
yes.
believe in
So
spirits?
yeah, so my sister we've all, like, always have felt that we've always had this knowing of things, we just have always had that and we've known it. Um, but now truly it was really upfront and personal,
It was undeniable.
Yeah, so she's telling me this, and I'm just like thinking, "Oh my god," and I'm thinking, what is it? Mortgage, insurance, I'm thinking all this third dimensional stuff, right? I have no idea. So then I'm just praying on it and asking, and I'm asking him, what do I need to do? What are you trying to tell me? And so all of a sudden, I start seeing these 1111 numbers everywhere. I mean, they are on billboards, they're on my phone, they're on my computer. I go to the gas station, my gas stops on 1111.
Oh,
And I'm like, what is this? Why am I seeing this number all the time? So I go on the computer, I Google 1111, and I did not only Google, I noticed that my husband had changed all his browsers to DuckDuckGo. So he was already on that path, and I just didn't really realize it. And so I go in, and then I start finding out that this is the spiritual realm, that someone is trying to contact me, spirit's trying to contact me, Todd's trying to contact me. So
yeah.
all of a sudden I'm getting this, and then I start going down all these rabbit holes, and I start getting information just about a lot of things in our world that aren't what we think they are.
Yeah. Pluto
And
Capricorn has been revealing all the deceptions and lies that have been taught to us since
yeah,
we were born here on this earth. Yeah.
and it's flooding in, and the most incredible part about it is that it is resonating. Like, it is all
So
resonating,
you
like,
were ready to receive it and hear it and accept
yes.
it. Yeah.
Yes, and it's resonating, and I know it, and I know it, and I'm telling my family, "Oh my gosh, have you heard about what's going on with this, with that?" I'm not
Now,
really
was
sure.
Todd already kind of more in that realm?
So, Todd was always kind of, I don't wanna he was anti the
Establishment, anti-government. Yeah.
yes, because a lot of things had occurred, and he just knew that so he was always there. So yes, I believe he was definitely there more than I was. I think I was just so corporate world minded,
Yeah.
when you're in that corporate world. And again, he was the entrepreneur, so he was more of that free spirit, whereas I was more structured, and more
Exactly.
brainwashed, I guess I should say.
But you know
Um,
what? It says that in your birth chart, right? Having the Virgo sun in the 8th house, Mercury, Uranus, and Pluto, right? The sun, the ruler of the sun is Leo in the 7th house of marriage. So it's basically saying your marriage partner would be into the secrets of the world and investigating and researching and learning about esoteric, even occult knowledge and just the mysteries and secrets of the world and secret societies, all of it.
yeah.
So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and I started realizing that because when he passed, I took over because he had his own home office at the house, and so at this time, we're working from home, and I had taken some time off also. So I'm in his office, his becoming my office, and as I'm going through this, I'm seeing this, I'm finding it in his computer, I'm finding it on books, things that he has. And so I am just learning all this, and I'm telling my family, "Oh my gosh, did you know that this is what's happening in our government? Did you know that this is what's happening in the world?" And they are so my family's so supportive, but they're literally thinking I'm this grieving widow,
R
completely losing my mind.
And you're like, "No, I'm getting my mind back."
Exactly. So suddenly my heart is healing because I'm understanding that
Mm.
so all of a sudden I'm just in this whole spiritual world. I am learning about myself. I am, you know, taking classes on, starseed classes. I mean, I am just resonating with everything.
Oh,
I'm just everything is happening, and that's really odd for me because I came from a whole Catholic background. I was a Eucharistic minister. I taught
wow.
catechism. I mean, and I'm finding out that things aren't as we thought they were. But more than anything, I'm just grateful that God has always been in my life, in my
Yeah.
children's life, and all our lives. And so I held on to that. So one day, um, I am doing my research and I come across a list of companies that are involved with not the good side of this world, right?
Right, right.
And, and it ends up, I see that my company's named on this list.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Was that the final nail?
I was overwhelmed, and then all I could think was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't stay here, but I can't quit. I'm a single mom. I have 2 girls in college, I have 1 in high school, I can't oh my gosh." So I prayed that night, I prayed to God, and I prayed and I asked him to help guide me, to help me find my solution, what I needed to do. And I prayed every night, every day, every night I prayed.
Yeah.
And 5 days later, I was laid off from my job.
Wow.
And as soon as that happened, I looked and I said, "Okay, you knew I couldn't do it, so you had to help me. Thank you, Lord." And
Yeah.
I was so grateful
God will
for
make a
that.
way.
Yes, and I was grateful, but at the same time, I was like, "Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do?" So, as I am, being a Virgo, I always have to make sure I have everything set up before I even tell anybody what's going on. I need to make sure I already have my plan. So I tell nobody that I've lost my job.
Wow.
I take my daughter to practice that night, and before I take her, I put on my husband's wedding band because I'm just feeling like I just need a little extra comfort from him that night.
Yeah.
And, just kind of praying and thinking on it. Come home after her practice, we come home. I get ready for bed, and I look down and I notice that his ring is missing.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." So now I am more upset. In the same day, I lose my job and I lose my husband's ring.
Oh,
And
that's like a dagger in your heart. Oh my gosh.
but the thing is I'm more upset about his ring than I am
Oh,
about
of
the job.
course. Yeah.
And so I'm just hysterical. I call a friend. She's like, "Sonia, don't worry. We'll find it. We'll look for it. I'm gonna call, the gym owner has cameras. We'll at least be able to figure out where it was at." So I go in. The next morning, I get a call from the gym, and they tell me, "Sonia, we're sorry. We heard about what happened. She goes, I've been going through all the trash since I heard." And as soon as she said that, I remembered I had gone to the ladies' room. And she says to me, she goes, "For some reason, the trash was collected but never got thrown out." She goes, "And I have to tell you, when I got to this last bag, this trash has been moved everywhere." She goes, "I unknot it and I open it. And at the very top, this dry paper towel opens up and your husband's ring is right in the middle." My body just lit
Wow.
up. And I knew at that time that it was God telling me, "Sonia, everything's going to be okay."
Yeah.
Like I
That
knew
that Todd is with you, God is with you, and that you
that
are
everything's
divinely
gonna
protected.
it's okay that I don't have a job. It's okay that,
Yeah.
and so I get in my car and I drive right away to go pick it up. And as I'm driving there at this time, I don't listen to mainstream anything anymore. I'm just podcasts. I
Yeah.
have my people I'm listening to.
Yeah.
So I turn on this podcast and it's for the first time ever. Jason Shurka. So Jason Shurka is the creator of Unified Healing. He created Unified Healing. So he did that after he interviewed Dr. Sandra Rose Michael. So this is his first time ever interview with Dr. Sandra Rose Michael, who is
And he's a part of he's Unified TV,
so
right?
he was Unified TV first. So he
Okay.
created Unified TV, and then he interviewed Dr. Sandra Rose Michael. This is the first ever interview, and she's talking about the Energy Enhancement System, and and it's incredible. She's talking about all these testimonials of all these people that are just healing from so many things that are just miraculous, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." I'm thinking to myself, "I can't wait to try it. Like this is incredible, right?" And so at the end of that podcast, as I'm driving on my way to pick up my husband's ring, Jason gets on and he says, "Now is the time to heal the world. If anyone can open a center, please contact us." My body was on fire. I pull over. I literally screamed, I think. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is what I'm supposed to do." I write everything down. I send my information in. Thank
What?
God that I did that because over 77,000 people responded.
Wait. That's first of all, right? People hear these things all the time, and they go back and forth. That sounds good. I don't know if I should do it. I don't know if I can. But then so many, and then you do, and then what do they say to you?
Yeah, it was incredible. Well, I was nervous at first because I didn't get a call for about 2 or 3 weeks, and they're like, "We're so sorry. It's just that it broke down our systems. We didn't know what to anticipate. Like, we weren't expecting what we got." So I end up having to, eventually I have all of my application in, I have my paperwork in, I'm already pre-approved. I'm going in to open a center by the end of 2023, or 2022, December 2022. And so then I end up, speaking with Jason. We have a phone call and we speak, and he's amazing. He's incredible. And I tell him, I'm like, Jason, I go, I have to do this because was divinely led to open this center. I go, I still can't believe how everything occurred and how it all resonated and how I just knew and how I just acted, but I just knew everything in myself, in my gut, everything I just knew. And so I'm on my way. So now I'm getting ready. I'm using this time to really start to work on myself, to really find out about me and who I am, because now my whole world has opened up to this whole spiritual side that
Mm.
I'm learning about. So I'm eager. And so all I'm doing is burying in research, and I can't turn it off. Like it's all the time. I'm just wanting to know more and more and more. So we're getting ready, and I'm about 2 months. Well, and again, my husband is continuing still to come to me.
I was just, you remember about it. I was just about to ask, are you still getting messages from Todd during
Yes.
this?
So Todd continues. So I have to tell you this one story
Okay.
because it just like, oh my gosh. So one day, I was in the kitchen with my two girls, and we are talking, and I'm having a disagreement with my middle daughter, and she gets, she goes off to her room, and I looked at Jordan, and I just looked at her. I'm like, honey, I go, one of the things that I miss so much about not having your dad here. And she said, no, Mom, what? I go, it's that your dad and I made every decision together. Everything we did as a unit. I go, and it's so hard because I have to do all that by myself. I looked at her and I said, Jordan, I go, am I being a good mom? I'm like questioning myself. And of course, my daughter's like, Mom, you're a great mom. Carly's just having her, as her issues. I'm like, no, I go, we all are. We're all trying
We're
to,
all doing the best we can.
we can at this point, right? So, we just kind of go to bed that night. That was our last conversation. And then the next day, my niece comes over, and she's about Jordan's age. At the time, I think she was like 25 or 24. And she comes over, and she's like, sits with us at the, kitchen. We're always in the kitchen. And she gets very emotional. And I said, Riley, what's wrong? And she says, oh my gosh, she goes, I had a dream, and I never have dreams, and it was Uncle Todd, and he was here, and he was back, and she goes, and he kept telling me that I had to give you a message, but I told him I don't remember my dreams, and he kept telling me, you have to remember this dream. And so she is like frantic, and I'm like, Riley, it's okay. I go, honey, I go, what did he want you to tell me? And she says, he wanted me to tell you that you're a great mom.
Oh, God.
And my daughter and I both looked up at each other because we were sitting across from each other, and we're just like, oh my gosh. So my husband continues to give me and to let me know that he's there, and he's there with me. And it just continued. So this happens amongst, other things, but then now we're getting ready to open our center, right? So I'm about 2 months out from installation occurring, and I can't find a location. I cannot find a location anywhere. I'm thinking, how is that? Everybody's working from home. Commercial property should be available like everywhere.
Right.
So I get to my location that I'm at today, and when I get there, I'm like, let the owner know. I go, is it okay if I bring my brother in, because I have to completely renovate? I mean, I had to, take down walls, put up walls. It was all carpets. I had to redo all the flooring, paint, everything. And he's like, and I need to make sure I could afford it. And he's like, sure. He goes, let me give you the code to the door. He gives me the code, and it is my husband's birth year.
Oh,
As soon as that happened, it turned into, okay, what do we have to do? Because I knew he was telling me this is the space.
you just gave me chills again all over my body. Okay, so tell everybody, um, Vitality Energy Healing, where's the location, the website, so people can find out about your space and everything you do there.
Absolutely. So I am located in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm at 1940 East Thunderbird Road, Suite 105 in Phoenix, Arizona, 85022. My website is really simple. It's vitality.energyhealing.com. And on there, I have lots of information, including videos of how the technology works, of what to do, how to prepare for it, testimonials from many clients that I've had that it's really changed their lives. Um, and yes, just so much. And you know, this is what we do here. It's mainly that my oldest daughter, Jordan, she did graduate from San Diego State, but she now is in her second year of Chinese medicine school. So I'm
Oh,
very excited about that for
now will
her.
she be part of the office and integrating that into the healing?
Eventually, I believe that's our goal. Yes, absolutely. Right now, she works here with me part
Right.
time, so she can go to school and do that with me. So it's just her and I really that are running our business. It's definitely all family owned, and
That's
my goal for my center is for everyone to come here and feel like family. Like this is your space. This is where you come. This is where you come to heal.
um,
And I love my clients because they're amazing, and we can heal. There's things we can do out there, and it's just a matter of people opening their hearts to that.
okay, so I got like two questions. Let me ask this one first. I think about my mother, and I wish, I knew about this, but, you didn't have it yet. But I assume the technology. So, how long has the technology been around? And then, um, do you help or work with people who have dementia or Alzheimer's?
So the technology, I believe, Dr. Sandra, it was developed like I want to say maybe in the 70s. I'd have to, double check, so
Oh,
don't quote me on that.
okay.
But it wasn't widely available to everybody. Like if people had it, it was probably more of the affluent, and they had these units in their homes.
Oh, yeah.
So it really wasn't like open to everyone. So when they told us we need to open these centers fast and many at a time, and I think the reason is that if you have fast and many, then hopefully we wouldn't get shut down. Because if you think about it, you know, we're helping people heal, you
Yeah.
know. So
Big pharma and medicine, they don't
so
want that. Yeah.
so that was a goal, right? It's holistic healing, and I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
I can't give any medical advice. I
Right.
have to always give that disclaimer. But I
Exactly.
but I can tell you I have so many testimonials of so many clients of healing from different ailments. It could be so many different things. It's incredible.
Well, I know for me personally, just doing it one time, like I don't even know how to gauge it because to me, it just makes me think of like what would happen if I did it for a full month, or what would happen if I did it for because just the improvement in my feet, my breath, and then last night I slept again. I took a nice nap in your space yesterday, but I took. I mean, I when I went to sleep, and then
The detox.
so I slept. So I slept really well. But explain to everybody what's in the part of it is also you send your clients home with ingredients for a special bath, and I
Yes.
did that. So share with everybody what that is and the benefits of it.
Okay. So when you come in for your session, it's always going to be a minimum of 2 hours. But I have clients that do 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. I even have overnight sessions for 12 hours.
Mm,
So it really depends on what it is that you're looking to achieve. So, but the protocol is you come in, and when you're in the system, the body is discharging all of those heavy metals, all those toxins, everything that doesn't serve it.
mm,
So within 24 hours, it's imperative that you do the detox protocol. And that is a hot bath in hot water, as hot as you can tolerate it. And it's basically sea salt, baking soda, borax, and EE charged salt. And it's just a special salt from Dr. Sandra Rose Michaels that we add to it, just 2 tablespoons. But I have the recipe on my website, but I also sell them at my center just for convenience.
yeah.
And so what you do within 24 hours, you want to soak in this bath, because remember our skin is one huge organ.
Yes.
So I tell my clients, when you do the soak, do not be alarmed if your water turns a murky gray color, because it literally is pulling those toxins out. And the reason you want to do it, and make sure it is sea salt, not Epsom salt. Those are two different things. Sea salt pulls
Exactly.
it out. And you want to make sure that you get all those out. And afterwards, the body feels better. And if you don't do the detox, you run the risk of reabsorbing some of those toxins. So it's really
Oh, wow.
important to do that. So I always stress
Wow.
that.
My wife
And
and I were good clients, good patients. We listened,
oh,
and
good. So how was the
I
bath?
know that it was extremely just cleansing and purifying and healing for both of us, and that's, you guys have got to check this out. So, okay, as we get ready to wind down, I usually like to start off early with this question, but I'm kind of really curious now because you did mention your sister and brother. I want to know if you have more siblings, mom and dad, but who was 10-year-old Sonia? And could she have ever imagined this whole journey? The three girls, the husband, the loss, and then now the owner of Vitality Energy Healing.
No, I mean, I I've always had big dreams. Like from the time I was young, my dreams were always big. I knew I wanted lots of children. I knew I wanted a husband. I knew that I wanted to have this amazing job because my father came from not much at all. His parents died when he was young. He
Mm,
was orphaned at a very young age, and his aunts raised him. And so we weren't a wealthy, affluent family. We had to work really hard, but my dad instilled those values in me. And so when I was growing up, he was like, "You're going to go to college. You're going to get an education. You're going to do this so that you don't have to work as hard as I did for you." So I always, so even back when I was 10 years old, I was very lucky to have such a great childhood because I had a massive family. My mom and dad were like a a Brady Bunch type of family. They were both married previously, so there's like 17 kids in our family. So we
what? Wait, so how many direct siblings do you have between the two of them?
just between my mom and dad, there's 3 of us, so we were
Okay.
the final. But we all grew up together. Like, I didn't recognize the difference. I didn't know the difference because my father was just such from he was so from the heart, and
Yeah.
family was family, and even if you weren't family, you were still family, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
That's part of our culture, and
Mm.
so we grew up in that. So I always, I think, knew that I wanted to do some I always dream. I was such a dreamer always, and I think as being a dreamer, I think I just created my whole world, and now I do know that I did that because I always dreamed big, and that was always what I did.
Well, can I tell you, your birth chart tells me you're a big dreamer, and on on that health access, because Miss Sonia, you guys, has Mars conjunct Neptune in the midheaven in 10th house in Scorpio. So you initiated your dream. You took the call to action with that with that one podcast, and look at all that you've birthed from it. And that is so Mars, Neptune, and Scorpio in the 10th house. And I can just only like hit the microphone, but I could only applaud you because it's like
Well,
to
thank you.
see, well, all that you've experienced, but to see, people dancing in their chart that like you were not doing that before, and then now you've done it, and could you almost say or admit that like now you feel like you're walking in your soul's purpose?
I do, and I did get that confirmation. I don't think I told you this yesterday, but I did get it was through a medium who, it was through from my naturopath's office, actually,
Mhm.
and they didn't know if I was open to this or not, but by this time, absolutely. And she says, "I have a message for you from your husband." And she says, "I just want you to know that he's here right now. He's standing right next to you, and he's always with you. But he wants you to know that he's so sorry that he can't be with you in this life right now, but that this was your mission to complete, and that he is so proud of you." And
Mm.
I was just like, "Oh my gosh." So then, my doctor said, "Sonia, if Todd were still alive today, would you be doing this?" And I said, "No." I said, "Because I was the corporate girl. He was the entrepreneur. This would never have happened." So this is bigger than all of us. Like, And that is
It's
why
written, right? You can't make
yeah.
this stuff up. Uh, well, I didn't know this whole podcast. You'd be giving me like chills the whole time and like goosebumps and stuff, but I love it. And, I love your heart and your intention in terms of what you do. And that Cancer moon and that Virgo sun really speak to it that, you are, and that's the thing that I sense too before, or even just thinking about it. But when, walking into your space, you feel that Cancer moon because you're very caring and nurturing and supportive. And, and your intention for the health, the Virgo sun, it just screams out, that you are, really supportive and caring to the collective and people on their healing journeys. So, I know we have to always, be mindful of the medical disclaimers, but just share one, really amazing testimonial and story that one of your clients has experienced that, even maybe surprised or shocked them.
Yeah. Oh gosh, there are so many of them. It's like,
I
what?
know.
Yeah. So, oh, which one do I want to talk about? The biggest one in the very beginning was the one that was closest to my heart. It was my sister.
Okay.
Um, and she had ovarian C. I don't know if I can say that or not,
Yeah.
but I think you might know what it is.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And she had gone through all the traditional stuff because, of course, this is the other part, right? Isn't this always the case? I'm the one in my family that was more on the holistic realm, and
Right.
everyone else was not. So I was always like the different one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she had gone through all of the chemo, all those things that that we're told to do,
And radiation
and
and everything.
all of that. So she started just with the chemo. So of course she lost all of her hair, everything that goes with that. But
Mm.
and she did get to the point where she became, free of her ailment, right? However, a few months later, it came back aggressively. So at this time, I asked her and I said, please, I'm going to send you some information. Please consider this because I'm hearing so many incredible stories. I'm hearing so many people healing. Just consider doing this because my technology is going to be here like by the time you need to make these decisions. So she said, okay. So she, thank God, all of our family, it has, we all have God in our lives. So
Right. Because now
praise
you guys are like traditional kind of like Catholic Latina family.
absolutely.
Okay.
So we pray for everything. I mean, we have prayer lines going on all the time. So she does, and then she gets back to me and she says, "Well, she's like, I spoke with my doctors and they want me to do another 6 rounds, of chemo. However, I will come in and I'll do this. I'll do your system as well." And I said, "Perfect." I said, so she goes in, she does her first round. It takes her about a week or so to recover. Then she comes in and she does a 2-hour session. And of course, she comes in, she's still wearing a wig because she still doesn't have her hair. She comes in, does a 2-hour session, comes out. And so I looked and I said, okay, because you come in and you have a blanket and you're just going to go take a nap.
Yeah.
So she comes out and I said, okay, I go, how was it? And I'll never forget this. She looks at me and she goes, I feel joyful. And
Oh.
I said, I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "That's good." I didn't know what she was gonna say. So I'm like, "Okay, great. I need you to do this bath protocol." She's like, "Okay." She goes, "But," she goes, I'm gonna get my antigen levels tested because that's how they tested hers was through the antigen levels." She's like, "Because I wanna see if this is really having an effect or not." And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "Let me know. I wanna know too," because she was really like my first person. And so I wanna say her antigen levels were like at gosh, it's been almost 2 years. So she was at, uh where were her levels? Was she at 20s? She was high. She was at 20s. No, she wasn't 27. She had to be I'm so sorry that I am
That's okay.
completely like,
But in that ballpark or in the high 20s or mid 20s?
she was even higher than no, I'm sorry,
Oh,
she was in her 80s. She was at 82.
oh, wow.
82, 83. And she had to be like at 30 or below to be free of her ailment, so she was pretty high. So she
Okay.
was, like, up in the high 80s. So she goes and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna get tested. I'll let you know when I get my results." So she gets back to me. She's like, "I got my results." And I said, "Okay." She goes, "My levels went from 83 to like 60." I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." I go, "You need to come back." And she's like, "Yes." And so this is just 2 hours, right? So I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." So she comes in and she says, during that time she comes in, she's like, "Yes, she's gonna come in." So this time she goes and does her second round, and it takes her a little bit longer to come in, and she calls me and she's really really upset. I'm like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "I don't feel good. I feel like everything is spreading all over," and she's really not having a good time. I'm like, "You know what?" I go, "You need to come in and do an overnight. Come in and do an overnight. We'll do it together. You and I will do it together." So she goes, "Well, let me talk to my husband." She goes, "Is it gonna make it worse?" I mean, she's in just fear mode at this time,
Mm.
we get placed in fear mode all the time. I'm like, "Linda, it's only good energy. It cannot hurt you." So she goes, "Let me talk to my husband and I'll let you know." So she decides at the last minute to come, thank God, because I was already gonna do it overnight myself. So she comes in and, I could see the stress in her face. She
Yeah.
comes in and she does an overnight, and she wakes up the next morning, and we're having tea, and I make us some hot tea, and we're sitting on that couch, the couch you were
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
and she starts to become really emotional, and I said, "What's wrong?" She's like, she tells me, she goes, "Sonia, the pain, it's all gone." It's And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." She's like, and she just is so overwhelmed. She's like, "I have to get tested again next week. Can I come back on Monday and do another 2 hours?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, of course you
Of
can."
course. Yeah.
Yeah, so she goes home, does her bath, comes in on Monday, like a whole different person, like incredibly different person, does another 2 hours. So now she's been in the system for what, 16 hours? Um, and now after 16 hours, she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna get my results. I'll let you know what the results are." And I said, "Okay, perfect." So she calls me at the end of the week, or I think it may have been even the following week. She goes, "I just got my results." She goes, "And I am free of everything. My levels are below, they're like at 20 something." Like
Oh my gosh.
and I'm just like, "Oh my god, that is just amazing." And after that, she continues coming in. Her hair, so one of the things is, as far as even me being here, my hair grows like crazy, so her hair is growing out like crazy, and she had none. Her hair is growing, her skin looks amazing. She's feeling better. I mean, just everything. And so she's just one of them. I mean, I had a gentleman that came to me from Kansas City that had Lyme disease. It totally changed his life. I mean, I never knew how debilitating that could be, and it changed his life. He now is still here, he hikes, and he got his life back. I've had people come in that have had issues with their prostate levels that have come
Oh,
completely down.
yeah, I
People
needed this when I was dealing with the valley fever and stuff,
Yeah,
but I
people
know
with
for me, I'm
neuropathy.
gonna continue to come back because, after being in the hospital, my shoulder was out of place, I have back pains. I've had, from the valley fever, I had a carpal tunnel surgery, 4-foot surgeries. I've just been through it, and even my wrists today, they feel stronger, so I mean, like your sister, like I'm like, oh man, I need an overnighter because anything is possible. Now, when you said that little bit before with the dementia and Alzheimer's,
Yes.
my question to you is, how do you think it can help with concussions and TBIs?
So, what I tell everyone, because I get this question all the time, so I say, "Remember, the body wants to get back to its original blueprint, always. That's the body's goal." So I feel like any and all ailments, if that's what the body wants to do. And again, I have to make that disclaimer. It's
Yeah,
not these machines that are healing you, it's your own body. We're
exactly.
just providing that environment so that it allows it to do that. So I know if you go on to UNIFYDhealing.com, they have a
Okay.
testimonials page. There are over, since all of this happened, they've opened almost 500 centers around the world, not just the US, around the entire world.
Well, so people can go on that site
So
and see in their location.
yes, and it's Unified Healing, UNIFYD healing.com. And if you go there,
YD. Okay.
it'll allow you to click on centers. It has a map, so it shows the entire map. and it gives you the locations of open centers, upcoming centers, and it does it for the entire world. There's
Wow.
also, you can go there for testimonials, and it'll give you testimonials. There's some of them are video testimonials, some of them are written, and you can even look it up by the specific, whatever ailment you're looking for. It
Right,
has all
right,
categorized.
okay,
So
you guys, you hear Sonia. If you're in Arizona, you go to Phoenix to see Miss Sonia. But any other state, go to Unified. Is it UnifiedHealing.com?
yes, UNIFYDhealing.com,
Okay.
UNIFYD healing.com.
FYD. Wow.
Yes.
You are such a wealth of knowledge and information. My heart goes out for, all that you went through, but I know, and I know that like your husband confirmed that this was your soul's purpose. And I know the collective and myself and I am in such gratitude. I can't wait to bring my kids there. Like you're amazing.
Well, thank you so much. Yes,
And your heart, that's the thing too, you guys. Sonia doesn't, she's not just doing this because whatever. She was called. And those are the real healers. When people are called to do so, then their soul and their heart matches it. And I see that and experienced and feel that in you and all that you do. So thank you.
well, thank you. I'm just grateful that we met, but as you said, it was not coincidental. We were
No,
supposed to meet. So,
no, no, oh,
thank
definitely,
you.
definitely.
But
So, okay. So just as we, wrap up, share your website again, and then have you noticed anything? Do your daughters do it? And have you noticed anything, even with, let's say, children in school or college academically?
yes, I mean, so I know that my youngest daughter would come in, because children today, they're so stressed. School is just so stressful for them. So she would come in after school and
In
just,
the technology.
yeah, she would come into the room, bring her own blanket. She knew her place. She'd just come and take naps. And it would really, really, just calm them from any anxiety or stress and just make her feel so much better. I did have a particular person who was an author. She wrote books and she found my center and she came in and she was just blocked. She was under a lot of stress. She couldn't, she was just having a lot of issues. She came in and she felt the energy right away. It was during one of my movie nights. And
Mm,
so she's like, I need to do an overnight session. And she did that. And halfway through, I let people know when you're in the system, you may be unblocking stuff. So if you start to cry or something happens, that is a good thing. That is because you're unleashing what the no longer serves the body that you need to release.
right.
So this, happened with her and we had this incredible conversation and she was just overwhelmed by so much. She went back in the room, went to sleep. 12 hours later, she came out and she could not believe the clarity that she had. She went on to finish, I want to say 3 books,
Oh my
and she
God.
went on book tour, and she's doing amazing. So, yes, I had my niece, same thing. She was conflicted, didn't know what to do about a job. She came in, she woke up with so much clarity about what she needed to do. The stories just, really go on and on.
I love that. And it makes me think, oh, well, I'm just in the editing stage, but I got to finish my book and then I'm going to start writing my NDE book. So maybe I could use your place as an inspiration to, get it all out because it has to be told. And,
Yes.
I feel like you've got a story to tell and a book to write too, my friend.
Oh, wow. Never thought about it, but I am very grateful. I am grateful for this opportunity that this all happened the way I did. I mean, obviously would much rather have would like to have my husband with me, but I know he is with me and I know that this was bigger than both of us. And so
Exactly.
uh,
And the fact that you are aware of that and you feel that, he that love doesn't end or stop, and he can advocate and do more for you in the spiritual realm than even in the physical. And that seems weird or hard to accept, but I think you're a testimony, and you see it.
yeah,
You live it.
absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know.
And it's incredible. It is definitely incredible. Very blessed for sure.
Well, Sonia, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much. And everyone watching, like, this is a beginning of a relationship for myself and Sonia. And I think that, one day I may try to coordinate some sort of spiritual retreat. And so that you guys can come to Arizona and meet Miss Sonia and experience, her healing and stuff like that, because vitality, energy, healing is here to stay. And yeah, and I can't wait to have some more. So as we say goodbye, give us the website again so people can explore and learn about your services and all that you do.
Absolutely. So it's vitality.energyhealing.com. And for anyone who comes to me and came to me because you heard this podcast, let me know, and I will definitely have a special for you for a 2-hour session to come in and try the technology. Normally, a 2-hour session is 120,
Okay.
but please mention this and let me know that it was through Eric Big E Astrology that you found me, and I will definitely take care of you. And after that, I have incredible packages because everyone needs, it depends on what you're needing to search, but I have people that are doing 100 hours a month, depending on what it is that they're trying to achieve and whatnot. So,
Is
yes.
there a difference when like, if someone stays longer than the 2 hours, is that like, then the price goes up?
Yeah, so it's an hourly rate. So everything is based on the hour, but in our packages, you just buy a bulk of, hours and you utilize them how you want.
Ah,
So yes, so that's how it works. And some people just need more hours than others. And I tell them I have these monthly miracle packages that are incredible. And I'll be
yeah.
like, you need to dedicate to a month of healing. And that was the purpose of doing it because I found that my clients that really were committed to doing this were seeing the best results.
So is there a recommended like, let's say if someone had a chronic health issue or autoimmune, is there a recommended dosage or hours? Would you say 3 times a week for, 6 hours, or, like, is
Yeah.
there a measure that you've been able to gauge in terms of
Kind of.
getting the results?
Yes. Yeah, so I think based off of a lot of what I've seen, most people, some people see things instantly within 2 hours, like you did. And I've had people that couldn't lift their arm and all of a sudden they walk out and they're just like the pain's gone. And so we see that. But people that are dealing with really big things, I let them know you probably need to spend 100 hours here. You need to commit to doing this because the body needs the time to heal.
Yeah.
This isn't, if you're at that state where you need to heal, you need to put that time in. The body didn't become, diseased overnight. It did it over time. But now
Yeah.
we're at so, and then people who are coming in for maintenance, maybe they come in once a week for a couple hours,
Mm.
because they've already achieved where they want to be. But I tell everyone, be proactive with your health. Treat this like
Yes.
like a gym, right?
Right. Don't wait till you're distraught
Don't wait
and all
until it's at
sick.
the end,
Yeah.
and now you have to be here 100 which is fine, which is great. I'm here for that. But, I wanna try and help people change their thought process because if we don't take care of us, it doesn't really matter what else is going on. So be proactive in your health. Treat this like you were going to the gym. It's just something else you're doing. And guess what? You get to come in and sleep. I mean, you know, I don't know a better way of healing.
Oh my God. And next time I'm gonna come with some crystals. That's okay to bring and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely, yes, because whatever you bring into the system is going to get charged with the technology. So I tell people if you have supplements, if you have crystals, if you have water, you can bring
Yeah.
your water in. It'll charge the water. It'll so that you can take that home and it's better for you to drink.
Yeah. Sonia, this has been a joy and a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, we'll definitely have to do this again in the future. We will have to do this
Absolutely.
again. Maybe we'll do something either live in your place or live, with the audience as well, because I'm sure people would have a ton of questions. But right now, I just want to share you with the world and get this information out there because people need to know. You know, there are alternative ways of healing, you guys, that simply just work. And you may not understand it, but that's okay. Have the love, open up your heart chakra, and have the faith and expect miracles. Because when
Absolutely.
you do, right, that's when the miracles can happen, you
Yep,
know?
100%.
So, well, thank you again. This has been episode 265 of my Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast with my Virgo sister, Miss Sonia Perry. Sonia, thanks again.
Thank you, Eric. So much love to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye,
Okay.
everybody.